In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a professional Squarespace website that can rank on Google and help you find clients if you're a business, help you find donors if you're a fundraiser, or help you find a job if this is a personal portfolio website. Whatever your reason is, we're gonna make a professional Squarespace website in this video, and we're gonna do this in just 15 minutes. Now, when I first started making websites a decade ago, it was nothing like today. And honestly, I would have absolutely loved to have modern day Squarespace, which has so many more functions and features that just didn't exist back then. The ability to have booking on there, the ability to reserve tables if you're a restaurant, all these different little plugins and add-ons that are just baked right into Squarespace that make it easier, more powerful, and of course, more effective for whatever you're using it for. So let's head over to my laptop. The first thing we want to do is go to Squarespace, and you can do that through the affiliate link in the top of the description or by typing in santrelmedia.com/Squarespace. This costs absolutely nothing to you, but allows us to make these videos for free. So if you appreciate the free content, please do support the channel and choose our affiliate link before you go and sign up. So I'm gonna type in santrelmedia.com/Squarespace. And now we can start the 15-minute timer. I'm gonna show you everything from now on, from this stage to the final website in just 15 minutes. So we're gonna click on Get Started, and it's gonna ask us some basic things. So it doesn't matter what the purpose is, we can skip all of this. We're gonna find a template later. So let's just keep on skipping, and we can hit the little X up there. And if we click X again, that'll bring us to this page here. Now, rather than allowing Squarespace to select the template for us, I prefer to have all the options and kind of dig through this on our own. So we can look right here and say, maybe for this example, I'm going to make a personal portfolio. Now, whatever you're doing, the steps are going to be the same, but for this video, I'm gonna make a portfolio. So we can select portfolio, and there are 6 template matches that Squarespace recommends, but keep in mind, you could use any template out there. So personally, I'm not the biggest fan of any of these 6, so I'm gonna deselect portfolio and see if there's any other ones that really stand out. Now, when we find one we like, we can just click preview. I personally think this is gonna be a great fit, so I'm gonna say start with this design. And now we have to create an account. Now I'm going to continue with email, and then we can name our website. So we can call it Mike's Personal Portfolio, and then we can close out of this. So on the right side, we have our assistant. I'm gonna close out of that. Hopefully everything you need is explained in this video, but on the right side, this entire block is our website. On the left side, these are our different settings, so we can go into scheduling, analytics, profiles, other settings as well. Or if you want to actually edit your website, what you'll do is click on the edit button right here. So let's click on edit. Now we can click on skip. And unlike the previous versions of Squarespace from several years ago, we can now move things anywhere we want. So for example, if I want this button to be a little bit more to the right, I could just click it and drag it over to the right, and it will be dropped right there. Now, this is also responsive. So if we look at the website on desktop versus on mobile, there's a little switch on the top right. Click on that, and you'll see everything moves around accordingly. So once again, if I don't like this, I can click and drag that over so it's centered on mobile. I think it really should be centered. So we can toggle between desktop and mobile throughout this tutorial, and that should really help us to make a good website. This is built with a section layout, so each section is outlined in blue right there, as you can see. As you hover over it, this entire thing is one big section. The entire pinkish background is another section. The white background is a section. So this only has 3 sections at the moment. We can add other sections pretty easily by clicking Add Section, and there are a lot of pre-made sections we could use. I personally don't want to add one up there, but maybe down here we will want to add another section for our personal portfolio. So maybe this one right here, just a little kind of collage there, rather than having 3 in a line, that might be a better fit. Now within a block, you can edit anything simply, as you might expect, by clicking and double-clicking it, and you can edit text. And above that, you'll have some settings as well. So in the first one, we only have text and buttons as well as the background for this section. And so for this, let's start off by editing the section. So when we hover over it, we can click on Edit Section, and this is going to allow us to change the background. So click on Background, click Close. Now we can replace this photo. So we're gonna upload a file, and maybe just choose this photo right here. So over on the right side, the photo will have a focus point, and you can kind of adjust where that is by just clicking and dragging. You see this small little circle over on the right side. So if we click and drag it up, it'll move over this way. We can move it left and right. This is a full width photo, so it won't really do that, but I'm gonna move it up to probably right around there. We could also edit the photo if for some reason it's just not showing up right. We could edit it and we could crop the photo accordingly. Or you could adjust the brightness and things like that. So maybe that's a little bit better. But now the text is kind of right on my face. I don't want that. If we want to change this, like I showed you before, you can simply click and drag it over to the left, and we can resize it as well so it fits right here. So we could say Mike O'Brien. We can click and drag the button over as well, and of course it shows you the center line when you're moving that. As you can see, the dotted line in the middle there. I could highlight that text and make it bold, or change the size of it to make it fill that entire box. I could add like an underline. I don't really, actually an underline does kind of look good. Let's add an underline. And again, the color scheme right here doesn't quite fit. So that's probably the next thing we'll want to change, but don't worry about the colors just yet. Let's kind of edit some of the content first. Now, if you want to add something in here, these are all using what's called blocks on Squarespace. We can add a block. So we've got like a text block here, a button block. We can add another block. And this one, let's just say we have another text block. And this one, I would like to add a little bit below as kind of sort of a subtitle, right? So let's move the button down a little bit. And then for the button, we can click on that and click on the pencil icon so we can change what the text is as well as where that's actually linking to. And you can link it to any page on this site as well as any other page out there, or an email or a phone number. So I'm going to link to an email, and we're just going to say, now the cool thing about the email button is it will suggest a subject line as well as a body and who to CC. So if it's like an inquiry thing, you can always have it, set up with that first subject and say save. And I'm going to say contact me. Now these blocks are a little bit close right now. So if you see the little blue icon on the right, you can click and drag that down, and that will add some more blocks in here. So we can make this a little bit longer like that. And this way I can move the button a little bit lower and get some better spacing between those items. So that is the first block. Now, of course, always want to click on save as frequently as possible. And now, like I said, we want to start editing those colors before we go and build out everything else. So we can click on the styles, the site styles, little paintbrush on the top right, and close out that little thing. And we can change the fonts, the colors. Let's start off with the colors. We can edit the palette. And we could say from image, upload an image, and let's go with that same image that we're using on the first, just kind of, so it has a, look at that. So it can make some better suggestions. Now, I don't like that bright green. I'd rather change that. So now that we have some colors, we can go back to site styles, and we can change the fonts now. So again, I don't really like that font. Let's see what else we can find here. So what I like to do, rather than choosing individual text, is just go to font pack and click on switch, because there are different font pairings that generally work best together. So let's go with this Adobe one right here. As well as we can also edit buttons and image blocks as well. There's not really a whole lot I want to change with the buttons, but we could add some rounded corners on there. I think that might soften it up a little bit. So let's close out of this, and let's go and add a radius by clicking on shape, clicking on rounded rectangle, and say apply to all buttons. Now if we go back and click on close, we'll end up here again. Now again, this underline kind of got a little weird, so let's double click this, highlight everything, and just deselect the or click on underline rather, and we can change a little bit more about it. And then we could just click remove. So it's not perfect, but I think you get the idea, and it's looking pretty decent. And this little thing right here is actually just a summary, but if we click on it and click on the pencil icon, it's gonna select from a specific page, so like a blog post or something. I'm probably ultimately going to delete this page. So in hindsight, I think this block doesn't really make the most sense because I don't wanna draw from another page that I didn't actually make yet. We don't even know if we're gonna make this page. So for this block, we can just click on the entire section and click on remove, say remove. And now we have this little thing down here. So we could say this could be, for example, examples. We can add some text down there. And over here, we could say client 2023. So this could be like an example of some of your work. So we can go and then change all these images. So we're going to replace the images. You get the idea of how to do that. So I'm not going to bore you too much with repeating the same thing over and over. But one thing I want to point out is when you upload an image, you can add a link to that image, and you can add alt text as well. I highly recommend always adding alt text so it can appear in Google. Essentially, alt text is what you're telling the search engine that the image actually is. And we could add a link on the image to anywhere on the website, or let's just say to a web address, and we're going to say my YouTube channel, and open that in a new window and save. And then the same story is true down here. We can change the image on the last block. And let's just say this last section is like a little bit of a personal thing, electric scooter reviews. And I think it's kind of, again, starting to get repetitive. You have an idea of how you can move things around. You can click and drag things, but let's take a look at the other blocks we can add here. So once again, if you click anywhere within this section, you can click on add block. And we've got forms, we've got audio, we've got video. You can add an accordion. So if I just add like an accordion down here, that will of course show multiple items that you can then like expand, which by the way, I didn't show you how you can actually preview your website yet. So this is not an interactive site at the moment because we're obviously editing it. But if we just go to exit on the top left, you'll see that this is what our website looks like, and we can interact with it a lot more here. So if we can go down and see those items. See how they open up like that? That's essentially what an accordion is, like the instrument. Makes sense why they call it that. But let's go back to edit. So if I don't want that, click on it, click on the trash can. We can add other blocks. And like I said, there's really a huge list of other blocks you can add on here, as well as integrations. So let's change it to my electric scooter pics or something like that. I don't know, you get the idea. I'm just showing you how these different things work. So now that we have like a general website, this is how you go about editing it. Let's click on save. Now the last thing I want to do in the actual editor is on the top, if we click on edit site header, or on the bottom, we can go and edit the site footer. We want to edit both of those very quickly. So let's start off with the footer and get rid of like made with Squarespace. We don't need that to be there. So I'm going to delete that. And then out of these 3 buttons, this is actually all just text. So we can get rid of the about right there. We can get rid of episodes, and we can just say, for example, my work. So we'll highlight that and say my work, and you can highlight that, click on the link, and we can link it to any page we want. So let's go to a page and link to my work. Save and apply. So that's our footer. Looks good. Back to the header. I don't want that big donate button there. So let's edit the site header. Click on elements, click on button, and actually toggle that to off. We don't need a button in the top right. Or if we want to have a button, maybe instead it could be contact me. And this could again go to my email. We can save that. So that looks a lot better. Let's go to exit. And now let's talk about some of the settings we have on the left side. So if we click on website, of course, we can change the navigation across the top. So episodes doesn't really make sense to have there. I'm just going to delete that. So let's go and confirm that we want to delete that. And then of course, we also have blog and contact. Those do make sense if we want to add those. But we do have other pages that are not linked to the top. So we could have like a donate page. I don't need that. So let's confirm and delete that. But keep in mind, if you want to have maybe like a terms of service or policy, return policy, whatever, you can add those pages to the not linked, and you can link them anywhere else on your website, and they don't have to appear up in your navigation. But if you want to add another page that does appear in your navigation, click on the plus for navigation, and this could be maybe, for example, a portfolio page. So portfolio, you can choose maybe like this one looks the best, and so we're going to add that page. And that'll bring us into the editor for that page. Now, I'm going to just leave all of that on there. That all looks good to me. So then we can go back to pages, go to home. Now, before we go any further, it is important that we do upgrade because Squarespace doesn't allow you to connect a domain or do some other features as well without upgrading. So I'm going to click on subscribe, and there are several different plans. They're all very competitive. Like I've checked Wix versus Squarespace, and like they're all pretty much the same. But for this one, since this is a personal website, personal portfolio, I'm just going to select personal. But really for most people, the business one probably makes a little bit more sense because you can have more contributors. So if you do have a larger team, that would be a benefit. You do get a professional email from Google, which essentially means you can go into your Gmail, just regular gmail.com, and you can use like Mike at whatever my domain is.com. So that is super, super beneficial for a business. For a personal site, I'm just going to select personal here, and I'm going to subscribe. And before you confirm purchase, the promo code, we can type in Santrel 10 in all caps, say apply, and you will get 10% off. That's usually why I like to do the full annual, because first of all, you save a lot of money by doing annual instead of monthly. And second of all, you can only use this promotion once, so you might as well apply it to the largest purchase possible. And so that way you can just pay $183 for the year versus, if I'm doing the math right, like $276 or something like that for the entire year. So I'm going to confirm the purchase. Again, saving money by doing annual, but it's not for everybody, so you don't have to do it this way. And now, because we have that, we can go and get our free domain for an entire year, which again, you only get if you do the annual plan. So I'm going to say get free domain for the year. Let's say get a domain, and I'm going to say Mike O'Brien. Oh, there we go. It's available. So we can click on the little cart. It's added to cart, and we can check out and confirm the payment of $0. And now we can say done. Now that registration is in progress, we can click on publish your site. So we'll say publish. We can copy that domain, and we'll check that out a little bit later. So let's go back to home. Now, I'm not selling anything at the moment, so I don't need to do anything with commerce, but I want to show you really quickly. If you click on that, you will have to upgrade to a higher plan, not just the personal one. Maybe, depending on which one you chose, you might already have this, but you can track your inventory, do orders and stuff like that. I have a full video dedicated to explaining how to sell on Squarespace, so I'll link that down below if you want to see that. Hopefully that will be of use to you. And then we have marketing. Now, this is actually going to be what you do to rank on Google. So if we click on SEO appearance, we can actually customize a lot about this, and they have a full SEO checklist. If you click on that, it opens in a new tab, and it'll kind of walk you through everything, all the best practices you can do to rank better on Google. Kind of just go through this and see, make sure you did everything on there, make sure you have the right keyword strategy and things like that. But some of the most fundamental things on here is when you go down, you'll see search appearance for different pages, different items, and for your home page. And you want to make sure that it is appearing correctly. So the SEO title format looks fine to me, but we could add an SEO site description. So we just say that, and let's save. Now, if you have a business where you'd want people to schedule appointments or whatever, you can go to scheduling right here, and you can actually set this up. So again, it's gonna be great for anybody who wants to schedule either meetings or consulting calls or like a doctor's appointment, whatever. You can do all of that right here. It can help you manage your calendar and get bookings and appointments like that. We can then see analytics for who's actually visiting our website, how long they're spending, where the traffic's coming from, the keywords, what's working, what's not working. This is just one of the many tools you can use. Of course, I would also recommend in the future, once you start ranking on Google, check out something like SEMrush, S-E-M, Rush is what other people call it. And then we can go down to just settings. Now in settings, there's a couple more things we definitely need to change here. So the first thing, our domain's all set up. Site availability is public. Make sure that's there so people can visit your website. We can go down and change things like browser icon. So right now it's just this little cube. We don't want that. So let's add a favicon by uploading a file. I'm just gonna use the Santrel logo. Actually, I'm gonna use this one. I made this for a previous video. Now we have that. So again, that's a little thing like if you go to the Squarespace website, they have their logo up there. My website right now has a cube, but it's going to update to that little logo right there. So we can go back. That's something a lot of people forget, and it's very unprofessional when you forget. We can add our social links on here, so it's not linking to Squarespace because again, very unprofessional. All right, so that was a 15-minute crash course on how to use Squarespace. Hopefully you found it helpful, and I wish you the best of luck making your website. If you want further instruction, I have a full 1 hour long tutorial on how to use Squarespace. I'll link that down below in the description, where I dive deep into the ins and outs of using e-commerce, of scheduling, of different tools and resources you have available with Squarespace. But I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to link your website down below so I can see what masterpiece you created. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien from Santrel Media, and I'll see you in the next one.